So I decided to smurf for a bit because I had a video idea. And I think for a while we've all known that the rank system in Mlbb has always been a bit weird. But I want to specifically talk about lower ranks in Mlbb. For instance, as of now, I've played 20 matches in total. Do keep in mind that roughly 5-ish of those 20 matches were in Classic. And do keep that in mind. And the rest were all in rank. The TLDR of rank, and this doesn't just apply to Mlbb, is a competitive mode where competitive people go to compete. And if we talk about Mlbb specifically, when you rank, your hero power, win rate, and stars are on the line. And when I saw how easy it was to rank up from Warrior to Grandmaster, which is 4 tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4, it made me become skeptical of the way that this rank system works. Because from all of my 20 matches, they were all bots. And if you're climbing 4 tiers, 1, 2, 3, 4 against all bots, yes, I'm going to keep emphasizing the 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's 4 tiers out of 10. How do you expect said players who climbed 1, 2, 3, 4s to compete in mid tiers and higher tiers? Especially if all 4 tiers were all against bots. Which is why I think it creates such a very weak mindset for these newer players. They steamroll 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers, all having very good performance. And once they reach Epic, Legend, and Mythic, they suddenly realize that the game is not as easy as the first 4 tiers made it look. Thus creating the mindset of if the game does not look winnable, we should surrender, which is completely false. That's why most people want to surrender when the game is not convenient for them. Because after steamrolling 4 tiers, they finally realize that the game is way more challenging than the first 4 tiers made it seem. Just to preface, to unlock rank, you need to be at least level 6. And now, I think that is actually very crazy. Because remember how I told you out of the 20 games I played, roughly 5 of them were classic matches? If in 5 matches you can unlock rank, then how quickly can you climb to higher ranks? And that is exactly the reason why people don't hesitate to troll in rank. Because it is easily accessible to both experienced and inexperienced players. There's no reason why it only takes you 5 matches just to unlock rank. And it's not only the fact that you won't have the experience needed to perform as expected in higher ranks, but there will be a very clear and evident player disparity between each teams. And in this match I'm going to show you guys, there are multiple instances in which this weak mindset applies. Now I definitely understand designing a rank system that everyone is going to enjoy is quite hard to embellish. Because some people do like the fact that rank is easily accessible, but also if it's very easy to access, what kind of players do you think that you're going to encounter? If you guys want my opinion on the requirements for unlocking rank, I think that you should have a certain amount of hours on the game while also playing a certain amount of matches. I would say give or take 100 to 200. That way you'll familiarize yourself with the game's mechanics and in a sense also prevent smurfs from reaching a rank that they shouldn't be in. Because lower ranks shouldn't all be bots. I feel like it is important to pit lower ranks against lower ranks. Because until you grasp the idea of how the game is supposed to be played, then and only then should you be able to enter rank. Now, I do understand that my requirements could be a little bit harsh, but newer players or inexperienced players should also understand that you do not need to be rushing yourself into rank. Rank is always going to be accessible and it's not going to just disappear. If you steamroll through the lower tiers and then struggle through the mid and higher tiers, then that is a sign that you should not be ranking. Does that mean that you're never going to rank? No, you will have your time where you're ready to rank. Because if you're consistently struggling to perform well in mid to high tiers, then obviously there's a problem. And I don't necessarily blame you because this rank system is horrible. As previously shown on my smurf, I went up 1, 2, 3, 4 tiers and they were all bots. And that is not the way a rank system should be designed. And that's why when people have a bad game, their first instinct is to want to surrender. Because the first few tiers are easy, a piece of cake even. And honestly, people's very weak mindsets of wanting to surrender when the game is not convenient for you just like ruins the game entirely. Because it's supposed to be a team effort, and if people are just not going to put in the effort, then ranking is not fun. I mean, I do always say this to people, like if you don't want to contribute, just go AFK. You're doing yourself a favor and also for me. If you know you're gonna tilt or be toxic, just don't queue up to rank. For instance, in this match, I'm playing a damage roamer, and our Hayabusa accused me of stealing 3 of the kills. As the jungler, you're not entitled to getting kills. You know what you are entitled to? Your jungle creeps and the objectives. In no way, shape, or form do you need kills just to farm. I mean, tank roamers absorb damage, supports aid your team. So why is it a problem when damage roamers suddenly get kills, or the damage roamers are actually doing damage. For me, it isn't necessarily that people are complaining about the fact that we're stealing kills. It's more the fact that they could have gotten the kill themselves, or they feel obligated to having the kill instead of somebody else. Another instance is when our ex-Borg said that they don't have a roamer. I'm sorry, what do you mean we don't have a roamer? Are we playing the same game or what? Now, I kind of don't like to show statistics and win rates because I'm not trying to flame these people. And I'm just saying this right now, don't send hate to anyone in this game. But I feel like I have to show statistics for people to understand what I'm trying to say. Ex-Borg is barely able to manage a 50% and above win rate, and they have a lot of matches. Are we trying to blame the roamer because you don't want to blame yourself or admit that you can make mistakes? Like, it's okay to make mistakes, I understand. Do we seriously have to say things that are untrue? Or you could have just simply said nothing. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Ex-Borg is not roamer dependent. Like, he can definitely do stuff on his own. So what are we trying to do here? Simply put, I feel like that the rank system and a lot of the tutorials that this game has just sets up its newer and inexperienced player base for failure. And a good example is literally the roaming description. Specifically says supports and tanks. But do you know how many other characters that are not classified as a support or tank that can protect their teammates? Do you know how many other characters there are that are not classified as roamers that can initiate a team fight? Do you know how many other characters that are not classified as supports and tanks have strong engage? For the record, a roamer doesn't have to be a support or a tank. The mid laner does not have to be a mage. The jungler does not always have to be an assassin. The gold laner does not always have to be a marksman. And it's also a fault of Muntun because of their balancing issue. For example, let's take the gold lane. Long story short, marksmen rely on equipment and gold are very weak in the early game. Okay, Muntun, do you know how many other characters rely on gold and equipment to be somewhat useful? That statement is very vague in my opinion. And there are also a lot of marksmen which have a strong early game and a very strong late game, which essentially tells the marksmen, which are very weak in the early game, what you can do, I can do better. So what would be the point of picking Layla or Mia over someone like Granger, Leslie, or Carrie? Sure, there is a difference from every single marksman's early game to late game, but for the most part, some marksmen aren't helpless in the early game. So that statement of marksmen being weak in the early game is untrue, because you'll see a lot of marksmen which can depend on themselves. I just hate the way that this game is designed sometimes, because some people are in ranks that they shouldn't even be in. But sorry for the long rant. I would love to hear what you guys think.